What's good, everyone? Lovely to see you. Welcome back to Inspired and welcome to 2023. I cannot believe that I'm actually into the third year of doing this. It's pretty nuts. It's been a journey, and Inspired has taken on different forms throughout that time. Started out as me shooting videos about LinkedIn in my bedroom. Then it moved to my mother-in-law's house. Now it's live stream here at Finally headquarters. And I'm really excited for 2023, guys. And I really hope that you guys find these sessions enjoyable, inspiring, excuse the pun, and ultimately a great space to learn and communicate, because that's what it's all about. Now, I know that we have a few newbies here. So over Christmas, I've had quite a few new connections. So thank you ever so much for connecting with me. That really means a great deal. So it's possible that this is your first time checking out Inspired. And if it is, welcome. I hope you have a fabulous time. To give you a little bit of an oversight of what Inspired is, every month I create a live stream broadcast for you guys where I showcase some of the best LinkedIn content creators on the platform who are dishing out advice and insight that you need to know. Now, I imagine a lot of people in 2023 are going to be considering LinkedIn as a really important platform for their business, their personal brand, for getting themselves out there. And Inspired is a great way to help you elevate your LinkedIn presence, to improve your LinkedIn content, and ultimately to meet like-minded people. And that's what I'm all about. I'm a big social connecting guy, and it's wonderful to bring together fantastic creators in an environment that showcases all their great work. So if this is your first time checking out Inspired, I really hope you enjoyed today's session. I'm going to give you a little bit of housekeeping. So if you've got any questions for me, please feel free to pop them in the chat throughout this stream. Also, as I talk through today's posts, we will also share the links to those posts in the chat so you can go and check them out in your own time. I highly recommend you do so. And that's pretty much it. So give me half an hour of your time, get a cup of tea, get comfortable, throw away that rubbish sandwich, and let's crack on and let's have a great, great time together. So let me jump into my presentation. All right, here we go. There's me in all my sort of shiny, horrible glory. So welcome to January's episode of Inspired. And I have to do it, and I'm being filmed as well, right, just to add to more pressure. So I've really got to do it well. Let's jump into this one, people. Okay, thank you very much for being here. Let's dive in to January's episode of Inspired. So our first post today is from a awesome creator. If you're not following Jay, Jasmine, Alik, honestly, guys, his stuff is awesome, okay? And one of the reasons why I've really resonated with Jay's content is because the guy doesn't just talk about how to make good posts, all right? A lot of content creators, myself included in that, are going to tell you about methods of how to write better, or how to tell your story better, or how to emphasize your business better. But one of the things that Jay does that's really cool is he actually talks about the structure of your content. And for me as a content creator and a writer, how you structure your information has such a big influence on how people consume it. If you think about 2023, right, most people are consuming their media on their mobile phone. So how something looks and how something is stylized has such a big impact on how they actually consume it and take that information in. And what Jay says in this wicked post is he talks about methods to use word magic. And what he's talking about here is ultimately the structure and the styling of what you're saying. And understanding how those things work in unison makes a big impact on what you're saying and how people absorb it. And I've pulled out a couple of little pieces here from his carousel. We'll put the link in the chat for you to have a look through the full carousel, because I do recommend you check it out. But the one I really like here says a descending copy, which you can see in the kind of top right-hand corner. And what he does is with each line, the sentence below gets a little bit smaller. And what that does is it really funnels your eye into what he's saying. It really makes you pay attention to what he's talking about. And that's very, very important, because ultimately he wants to retain your interest in order to keep you on his profile. It's a very clever trick that not only is he making great content and providing it in a compelling way, but it's making you more encouraged to carry on reading. It is holding your attention for longer. We live in a world, right, where getting people's attention is the currency. Winning their interest and retaining that interest is something that everyone is doing at all times of the day. So if your stuff to stand out, it's got to be more than just quote unquote good. All right. It's actually got to be visually pleasing. It's got to be stimulating. It's got to retain someone's interest. And the next post I want to just highlight kind of from this carousel is he talks about traffic lights. And what this basically is using the 3 different colored emojis, so obviously the red, the amber, and the green, to kind of punctuate how you tell a story, yeah? So like signaling the different parts of the journey based on those kind of traffic light stop signals. And what this also does is it helps compose your story in a way that's a little bit more digestible, because people understand that a traffic light represents stop, prepare, go. People understand that, right? It's kind of synonymous with the way that we walk around and drive around our world. And so using this as a way to structure your content already gives people a vibe that the top bit is maybe something you shouldn't be doing. The middle bit is something maybe you should consider changing or adding into your repertoire. And the green bit is the thing that you really should be actioning. It's a very clever technique, again, that is using structure and reframing how we look at things we're more familiar with to make better content. I love this post. I think it's wicked. I hope you agree. And I encourage you to check out the full carousel. All right, on to post 2. I don't know why I've decided to go French today, because that's about as far as my French goes, but we move. So my second post today is from an inspired regular, and it is Dina Kalakovic. Now, I featured Dina several times on LinkedIn, Inspired, and there is a very good reason as to why. Dina is one of those people, right, that will tell you how to use LinkedIn as a real driver for your business. And for a lot of people, what they want to use LinkedIn for is to help them make more money. Okay, it's a completely justifiable, realistic reason as to why you would want to use this platform. You want to amplify your business. You want to get it in front of more people. You want to retain more leads. And she has here 9 types of posts that will make you money, or certainly increase your opportunity to maximize lead gen. And I want you to take a little bit of a look at this list. And some of them you'll be like, well, yeah, Chris, obviously, mate, case studies, people need to know what I can do in order to be interested in what I do. But I really want you to look particularly at 3 and 4. Okay. So number 3 is breaking common beliefs. And what this essentially means is being confident to go against the grain. And the really good creators and the really good business people don't follow the status quo. All right. They don't do the same thing as everybody else. And they're happy to be a little bit outspoken. They're happy to sideline themselves a little bit, because that is how you get recognition. That is how you get noticed. And if you are looking to create content to drive leads, thinking outside of the box and being open and okay with talking outside of the box will pay dividends. And next is painfully good advice. And this is something that a lot of people, particularly businesses, don't like doing, because they want to keep their best stuff, like their really good advice, their really good information. They want to lock that bad boy behind a paywall. They want you to start communicating with them and get through to having an e-coffee or whatever you want to call it before they start giving you the goodies. The trouble is, in 2023, everyone can get whatever they want, wherever they want. So if they can't get that information and advice from you, they're just going to go somewhere else. Why hang around? Look at the way that you use social media. Why on earth would you stay on a page where every single thing baits you into having to do something to find out the next step? You're just not going to do it because it's a pain in the backside, right? So being okay with giving people advice and giving people the good stuff and being open and transparent is a massive W, guys. This is only going to help your cause. This is only going to make your audience feel closer to you, enhance that trust, enhance that clarity, and give you a much better opportunity of maximizing lead gen on LinkedIn. Now, if you're new to Inspired, you may not know, but I've talked about some of the LinkedIn kind of sales processes in the past, things like Sales Navigator, some of the other tools you can use. And these are things that definitely can be employed to kind of more like a kind of demanding effect, I suppose, like more action-orientated effect. But if you're looking to create content and you're looking to enhance your personal brand and you're looking to use this platform as a tool to excel whatever your business is, take note of these post types, utilize them, add them into your strategy, and see how they help you position your business better with your audience. Okay, let me have a quick glug of tea, which is now probably lukewarm. Bear with. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, post 3. Newbie to inspired here is Alex Minor. Now, this guy is awesome. All right. I suggest you follow Alex just for his energy. Okay. He's got a really enthusiastic, positive energy, and he talks a lot about video. Now, as we know, video is going to be one of the most pivotal platforms moving forward. I mean, it already is. It has been for years, but we want to emphasize video in 2023 and beyond, because showing people rather than telling people is always the way forward. And I imagine some of you have probably got a podcast or have considered getting a podcast. And if you do, firstly, get a vodcast, all right? Record your podcast with a video camera, and then you've got 2 strands of content. You can upload the audio file to your Spotify and your Deezer and whatever, and you can upload your video footage to YouTube, to LinkedIn, etc. But Alex argues that you can make upwards of 20 pieces of content from one podcast. That's pretty nuts, right? And everybody who's investing their time and investing their energy in making stuff for LinkedIn and other social platforms is looking for a return on investment, all right? Time is money, and they want to see some kind of ROI. So surely in the kind of initial stages, the best ROI is maximizing the longevity of something that you create. And this is what he suggests. And I've put a few screen grabs up on here from his video, ironically, but I encourage you to check out the full video, because throughout it, he teaches you multitude of ways of how you can use your video podcast to create lots of different types of content for different platforms, not just LinkedIn. And some of my favorite ones are taking the best bits of the podcast and kind of hacking them down into 30 or 60-second videos and putting them on kind of more viral social media platforms like your Instagrams or whatever, and your TikToks, but also things like YouTube Shorts, or putting them onto stories. Content and, consumer activity that's much more kind of tactile and quick is a great way to kind of get people kind of more active and, oh, what's this? I'll check this out. But he also says about kind of grabbing the thumbnail from your podcast, putting it into an email, giving people a generalized kind of overview of what you talk about, sending them the link to the video on YouTube. That's another way of kind of branching out. So if your audience might not necessarily be solely on social, but you could capture them on email marketing or email nurturing. He then also says about providing kind of transcripts. There's a myriad of different ways that you can maximize the usage of your content. And one of the other ones that I loved was grabbing the big juicy statements, like a quote that someone says or a big fact or a big figure, and posting it as a tweet. Because what that does is that really draws people's attention to it. And then you can use the image of the tweet as a post on LinkedIn. And you might have seen people doing that. They actually post a Twitter a Twitter post as a thumbnail on LinkedIn, and they do really well. So that's another consideration. So you can kind of giving yourself multiple strings to your bow and giving you a quiver that's stacked full of arrows that all point people to the same destination. And that is your video podcast. And I think this is a very clever way of making the most of something that you invest your time into. And in 2023, I know that's going to be on the top of a lot of people's minds. We want to do more of this, but we don't have the time. How do we find the balance between the two? We know this is where we need to be, and we need to invest this way in order to get there, but that is a hard road to find, right? So actually looking at, okay, well, I want to start making a podcast. Position it as, by making a podcast, we are going to get access to upwards of 20 pieces of content per episode. That makes it a pretty hard thing to say, it's not a very good idea to. It's kind of providing more input and more value from the portfolio that you're creating. And I think this is a really, really, really good bit of advice. And I think something that's going to help people creating, not just on LinkedIn, but across social for the new year. Okay. For our 4th post today, we have a personal branding how-to guide from Sophie Miller. If you're familiar with Sophie, great creator. She has been doing a marketing challenge on LinkedIn throughout the month of January to kind of coincide with the new year and people kind of, having resolutions about using the platform more regularly. And the reason I showcased this post is because I think there's a lot of people who are going to be new to LinkedIn, or they're going to be interested in exploring LinkedIn a little bit more this year. Or maybe you're a social media manager at a company and you've been trying to convince your boss that this is where we need to go. This is what we need to be looking at. And Sophie here breaks down personal branding in a very nice way. And what caught my eye immediately with this piece of content was the first sentence, which obviously is a good sign of a good bit of content, right? We want to hook people in quickly. She says, it's always just build your personal brand, and never this is what personal branding actually is and how to get started. And she categorized this into like kind of simple steps, which I like even more. Because people do talk about the importance of personal branding. We hype on about it like crazy. I know that I'm guilty of doing it with inSPIRED. But actually giving people a little bit more of an insight as to what it is and like how to do it and why they should do it is surely only helpful, right? Not everyone knows everything about this stuff. And I think actually giving people that introduction is something that's a step that's often missed. So she says, personal branding isn't a complex mystery reserved for celebrities, founders, and A-listers. And I think a lot of people feel that way. They feel like, oh, well, I don't own a company, or I'm not an influencer, or I'm not Beyonce's 15th cousin-in-law, so I don't have any reason to create content, which is actually not true. You have a great deal of reason. You have stories to tell. You have experiences to share. You have learnings that people can benefit from. And she says that personal branding is simply the process of creating an identity for yourself as an individual. And it really is as simple as that. It's understanding who you are, but moreover, who you want to portray yourself to the audience or people that you care about. And you can be vulnerable and you can show yourself and you can be open. And these are things that I would massively encourage, because you're more than your job title. You're more than the sector you work for. You're more than the social platform you post on. That is an extension of you, but it doesn't define you. Whilst your personal brand can be a lot more definitive. And I think that's what's really important, because people buy into that. We say all the time that people buy for people, and it couldn't be more true if we tried. She goes on to say, building a personal brand is the strategic act of taking hold of your identity, writing your own narrative, and sharing content online to depict you as the person you want to be. And I think that's a very kind of motivating and inspirational way of looking at it, and something that I very much support. I completely buy into it. I think that is the way that we should be shaping it and the way we should be looking at it. It's not a case of, well done, you closed a 6-figure deal on some rando cryptocurrency exchange. Like, without being rude, no one cares. All right. What they care about is your experiences, how they define you as a person, how your teachings can actually influence people's decision making, can make them feel more connected to you, can understand your industry better. These are all the things we want to do. Personal branding, in a nutshell, is you putting yourself as a teacher. It is you being an educator to the people that you want to educate. Gives you that platform and that kind of ammunition to tell your story and to shape how people see you. And I think that's a very powerful thing, and something that many people this year and beyond should be leveraging, because growing your personal brand is so intrinsically important to a myriad of things outside of your control. You know, people might be attracted to your profile and might be attracted to you as a potential employee based on your personal brand. People might be attracted and put you into a position where you can go on someone else's podcast or talk at an event, or a myriad of other opportunities. So take personal branding seriously, but don't be scared of it. Anybody can do it. Anyone has the right to do it. And your story is worth telling. And our 5th post today for this month is from Sam Suhan. And this is, this is a great post. So I'm conscious that, you know, when we share advice as LinkedIn content creators, not always is every single bit of advice absolutely bang on. And people like to think that they are an expert in everything, and perhaps maybe they're not. And Sam has made a really brilliant carousel where he basically debunks particular myths that surround LinkedIn. And he says most advice on LinkedIn is lousy. It's either wrong, half right, or only applies to certain situations. but that doesn't stop people from repeating it. And I think this is a very valid point, you know, kind of to circle back to what I was saying about kind of, you know, fighting for attention or whatever. We do live in an attention-based economy, and moreover, you know, people want people to look at them and they want people to absorb their content, because obviously that's a big part of it. But when you're actually giving people advice, you need to make sure the advice you're giving them is genuinely helpful. All right, it's got to be constructive, it's got to be beneficial, it's got to be right. And if it's not, if you're not 100% confident in it, either don't say it or caveat it. But there are several things that Sam says in this carousel, which I think you should all pay attention to all of them. But I've kind of highlighted two that I think are very, very important. The first one is technically the fifth point, and it's editing a post after publishing hurts its reach. This is nonsense. There's been this kind of idea that posts that go around on LinkedIn that have got a typo in them or whatever, people don't want to change the typo and edit it because it damages the reach, or they don't want to delete the post and repost it with a correction because that damages the reach. The truth is, you're absolutely fine to edit your posts. It doesn't impact their performance, okay? If you delete a post and then repost fairly quickly, that will have a detrimental effect on your reach because of how the algorithm works. But you're allowed to edit your content. And I actually would encourage you to edit your content if it's wrong. Like, I wouldn't post a post with loads of typos in it or loads of errors and then just be like, oh, well, I'm not going to change it because I don't want to damage my reach. I'd rather people see a post edited and correct than a post wrong and then think, particularly in my case, right, so he's a content creator and he's a copywriter, but his posts are full of typos. That's good. Like, think about it in terms of your branding, okay? An edited post is far better than an incorrect post. That is just fact. And the next thing is all about comments. Now, people, including myself, will tell you the importance of commenting because it is important, all right? I don't want this to not feel like it is, because it is. Commenting is important. Comments on LinkedIn are probably the quickest route to generating new connections, because the comment section is where conversations start and they carry on into your profile and into your direct messages and all of those lovely places. Comments is content, all right? And they're really, really, really important. But what Sam says here is that people will now take the mindset that it's more important to comment than it is to create content. All I need to be seen to be doing is talking to people in comments and not actually doing anything myself. And that's nonsense, all right? Without being rude, there's no point you putting loads of comments on posts if you then don't post yourself, because what value are you providing anybody? You know, you're adding to a conversation, but you're not stimulating your own conversation. You're not driving thought leadership. You're not growing your presence. You've got to do both things in tandem. You've got to create your own content and your own story and your own messaging, but also communicate with others who are like-minded, who are looking to network and grow together. That is the secret recipe. It's both. It's content creation and comment creation. Don't just think people will follow you or connect with you or be interested in your profile based on your comments alone, because they probably won't, because you're one of the many. So you need to do both. You need to be a solid content creator who provides great, helpful advice and value, and you need to be seen as a recurring commenter and stimulating conversations and driving engagement in your comment section and in other people's posts. I hope that makes sense. In my head, it makes crystal clear sense, but I'm aware I'm a bit mental. But comments are critically important, but so is content creation. Make sure you are both a content creator and a commenter, not just one or the other. I think this is a really good bit of advice by Sam, and particularly if you're a LinkedIn newbie and you're kind of looking, where should I get started? Where is a good point of reference? I think reading this carousel will be a massive, massive benefit to you. So that is my 5 posts for the month of January for the year of 2023. And I've got a post of the month for you guys. This is the new section that we added for the live stream, where I pick a post that really resonated with me personally, something that I really feel is a great bit of insight and advice, and something that I would implore you to action, and I want to action more myself. So after a glug of my now incredibly cold tea, bear with. Yep, delicious. My post of the month this month, I knew this was my post of the month the second I saw it. Like the second I saw it, I knew. I was like, yeah, perfect. It comes from a creator who I admire greatly. I talk to him quite regularly. I think he's a fabulous content creator, but also a really great guy, which helps. And it's from my main man, Ryan Flett. And if you don't follow Ryan, just change that. All right. Please go and follow Ryan. The guy is rad. I love him. I think he's a great content creator and a great person. And you can learn a lot from him if you're trying to up your video game. And this post is all about the hero's journey. Now, if you're a movie fan, you'll probably be relatively familiar with the format that is the hero's journey. As Ryan says here, it's a kind of staple of storytelling, from Star Wars to Finding Nemo, Indiana Jones. Pretty much any movie made by Steven Spielberg or George Lucas has the hero's journey as the kind of the overarching theme. And it's basically, in the short term, a kind of ordinary person in an ordinary world who goes and does something extraordinary. Okay. They get a call to adventure, as Ryan says here. They get kind of a pull towards a higher purpose, a pull towards a more important path, and they take that road, even though they know that's pushing them from their known world, their comfort, their kind of residential life, to something that's much more unknown, that has risk, that has challenges, that has danger. And they will go on and, hopefully succeed in their mission and their goal, and they will return home a more rounded, developed, better person, shaped by their experiences, shaped by their story. And the reason that Ryan talks about the hero's journey is because it's a brilliant way to tell your story through your posts, okay? Because this is what I was saying about earlier about your experiences shaping your storytelling. The hero's journey is literally the DNA of that process. It is about how you went and did something, or you were there when something happened, and this is your learning from it. You were taken from point A to point B. The learning happens in point B, and you return back to point A with more information, more developed, more learnings, more teachings. And this is why this story format is so well versed in cinema in particular. It's really, really ingrained in the culture of cinema, to the point where if you watch a movie and then the hero doesn't prevail, some people are annoyed. They're like, oh, I don't like that. It was a rubbish ending. Because it's not akin to the hero's journey format that we are so accustomed to. But we expect this formatting and this storytelling in literature, right, or non-fiction. But it can like apply so beautifully to actual life, right? Not just fiction filmmaking, not just fiction storytelling, to actual tangible life experiences. And in 2023, when you're upping your personal branding game and you're telling more people about you, and you're getting them closer to you, and you're letting them in, understanding how to format your stories around the hero's journey will have a massive impact in how people can kind of emotionally connect to you, how they can resonate to that experience, how they can feel a sense of kind of tactility around what you're saying and put themselves in your shoes. I'm telling you guys, this formatting is a brilliant way to frame your content. And I highly implore you go out and check Ryan's full carousel about this, because not only is it brilliantly explained, it's also absolutely beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful carousels I've seen for a long time. Brilliantly designed, brilliantly told, fabulous imagery. Go and check it out in full. I love this post. I think this is something that people should be actively doing in their storytelling. It's something certainly that I am going to be doing more of. I'm a big believer in kind of using kind of familiarity and using kind of references to kind of things that you've done, so people can kind of feel like more close, right? That comparison element. I even posted about it the other day. And I think this kind of ticks those boxes for me. And I think this is a very good storytelling technique, because it's all well and good you starting to post more content, and please do, that's wonderful. But when you do post content, it's not only about what you say, it's about how you structure it. If you remember back to Jazz's post where he spoke about kind of, actually putting stuff in the descending order, or the traffic lights, and how we frame what we say, the hero's journey is that. It's the overarching story that we want to tell to structure our content. I love this. I love this. I love this. Thank you, Ryan. I hope you like this post. And that is me done. So here is a little highlight of all the fabulous creators that we have showcased today on the first Inspired of the new year. Please go and check them all out. We'll put the links to their posts in the chat. Please go give all of them a follow. Your feed will be more enhanced by doing so. And I very much hope you enjoyed this first episode. So if there's any questions, please do feel free to drop them through into the chat. If you've sent a question and I don't answer it, I'm going to apologize now, because the feed on Restream, the platform that I create these live streams on, can be a bit delayed. So at the moment, I can't see much. So I don't know if there are questions in there. So if there are, I can only apologize. But for now, I'm going to use this opportunity, and whilst questions come in, if they do, I'm going to use this opportunity to give you a little bit of insight into what we're going to be doing in 2023. So as you know, last year we took inSPIRED live. We moved it from the typical way that I was doing it before, kind of filming, editing, recording, etc., to this live stream format, which I love. I think it suits the kind of the show much better, and it suits me as a presenter much better. So I love that. Now we're going to start doing some specials, guys. So we're going to do 4 quarterly special episodes in 2023. These are going to be slightly longer in format. They're going to be maybe 45 minutes to an hour. And these are going to be webinar-based sessions, okay? So I'm going to interview a creator or creators. And we're going to talk about specific topics around LinkedIn content, using LinkedIn, how to enhance learning on the platform. And I'm hopeful to share this experience. Amazing people I've shown on inSPIRED throughout the years. That's something I'm very excited about. And I will have new kind of more details about the very first one very soon. So please keep your eyes peeled to my channel and to my page if you haven't already. Details on my profile ASAP. So that's exciting. If you connect with me but you're not following me, all you need to do is navigate to my profile, and you might see in the top right hand corner a little bell. If you click that bell, that's all you have to do. It's completely free to do so. And then you will be notified when I post. I post pretty much every day. So you'll get a vibe of the things that I'm telling you about, some of the teachings that I provide. I talk about content, copywriting, all that wonderful stuff, regular as clockwork. So that's a little bit of a kind of update as to what's coming, a bit of a shameless plug. I'm now going to shut up. I really hope you enjoyed today's session. Thank you very much for spending 30 minutes with me. I hope you found it helpful. This will go onto my profile afterwards. So if you did miss it and you want to catch up or watch back parts, more than welcome to do so. But that's all from me, everybody. Thank you ever so much for your time. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your Wednesday, and I look forward to seeing you next month. Thanks very much. See you later.